Welcome to the first ever Zero Thought review. Today we are showcasing Apple's latest 16-inch MacBook Pro featuring the M3 Pro system on a chip. I am excited to bring you more content in similar style in the future, so if you enjoy your reviews with little to zero thought in them, hit that like button and subscribe. The machine for review today was acquired in the base configuration, which consists of a 12-core CPU, 18-core GPU, 18 gigabytes of unified memory, and 512 gigabytes of storage, all while being in Apple's latest space black color. Before we dive into the machine, let's chat about the new color they have introduced. On the left, I have the long-standing silver model. In the middle is my current MacBook Pro 16-inch in space gray, and the new space black finish MacBook Pro is on the right. This new option is simply stunning, and only available on the versions with M3 Pro and M3 Max chips. This tactic of releasing colors for specific models of machine is nothing new to the brand. Apple, while a hardware and software company, is also a marketing powerhouse, and they are very in tune with this type of market segmentation. Moving on to the I/O of the machine, on the left-hand side we have a MagSafe 3 port, 2 combo Thunderbolt/USB 4 ports, and a headphone jack. On the right-hand side we are greeted with an HDMI 2.1 port, another Thunderbolt/USB 4 jack, and an XD/XC card reader. Having systems in the past with MagSafe, the MagSafe 3 charging connector is a welcome addition back to the chassis. I was confused why Apple removed the port in the first place when they redid the unibody frame, but happy to see it return once more. While I'm not able to provide much insight into what the performance is from previous generations of Apple Silicon chips, I will be benchmarking this new MacBook Pro's performance and overall usability from the perspective of somebody with an older Intel-based system. While the Intel machines may not be the most performant or have the best battery life, the outgoing systems can offer unique advantages that are either not available or when they are available, come at a massive premium. One such advantage to the Intel platform is that it works seamlessly in my current workflow. Most of my computing involves just 2 monitors. However, having the flexibility to have 3 or 4 displays is important for me to keep my productivity as high as possible when a lot of windows are required. Unfortunately, I have found the information around external monitor support for the Apple Silicon lineup pretty ambiguous until recently with the M3 launch. Apple states on their website that the M3 Pro supports the internal display and an additional 2 external monitors. However, what wasn't stated is if you can run the machine in clamshell or close screen mode to allow for an effective third monitor. I believe this would be the case since the M2 Pro Mac Mini, which obviously does not have an integrated screen, is able to drive 3 displays concurrently. As someone who almost exclusively uses their machine in clamshell mode, this quote-unquote workaround would have allowed me to utilize an M3 Pro model compared to the M3 Max version. Unfortunately, no matter what configuration of dongles I tried, I was unable to output to 3 external displays. As a result, if I want to keep feature parity that is similar to my current setup, I will need to pay $3,499 compared to $2,499, or an additional $1,000 plus tax. This is worth mentioning that for the additional money, you are also doubling your available memory and storage to 36 gigabytes and 1 terabyte respectively. But if you do not have a need for those additional resources, then they are effectively wasted. With my little quip and use case out of the way, I do want to comment on the internal display, which is absolutely gorgeous. In my opinion, the most important parts of the computing hour experience are the parts you directly interact with. Displays on Apple products have always been top-notch, and this generation is no different. Apple states that their models have a peak brightness of 1600 and 600 nits for HDR and SDR content respectively. Compared to the 2019 MacBook Pro, which has a peak brightness for all content of 500 nits, it is quite a significant difference. I hold the opinion that the 2019 screen is nice, but these newer machines are a giant leap in terms of panel features and overall usability. Text is incredibly sharp, colors feel accurate, and for what it's worth, the addition of the notch does not bother me. Another neat upgrade from the Intel Mac is that Apple has moved to a 120Hz refresh rate panel, which they're denoting as their Liquid Retina XDR, and it is extremely welcome. The day-to-day feel of the system is more snappy, and animations feel so much more smoother than on the Intel model. Moving on to the speakers on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, they are absolutely phenomenal as always. Bass notes are crisp, vocals are clear, and the sound that Apple has manufactured here does outclass the competition in every possible way. At max volume, there is little distortion, and while I enjoy the overall sound, I'm going to comment that the soundstage out of the box is a little heavy on the bass, though it did not distract from my listening experience in the various scenarios I tested it. As far as keyboard and trackpad go, starting with the trackpad, it is a great piece of engineering, as has been tradition with Apple interface devices. The keyboard, which is thankfully very similar in style to the 2019 model, is as expected to type on, firm with nice key travel and a solid feel. Back are the fully buttoned function keys that were a screen on the 2019 model, which I for one am glad for. I never was really offended by having the top bar screen, but I never once found a compelling reason to specifically use it or need it. While the keyboard is great to type on, one aspect of the typing experience that I do need to note is the edges near the wrist area. The hard corners, along with the lack of tapering at the bottom of the machine, makes typing on the computer, for me, uncomfortable when using it on my lap. I haven't ever had this issue with my Intel machine, and upon closer inspection on the 2019 model, the front of the computer has a slight tapering on the edge, which leads it to sink nicer into my lap when I type versus the hardened round edge of the current MacBook Pro. It may be that I will need to shift how I type to reflect the change in this design, but it is something worth noting if you tend to type on your laptop for an extended period of time in that position. Sharp edges aside, Apple has once again done a terrific job with the exterior build quality of this machine. MacBook Pros, for quite some time, have felt like absolute tanks, and this one is no different. Just like in previous models, you can hold the machine from any corner with one hand and not feel flex and bend like you will with other notebooks. With the laptop's hardware impressions out of the way, let's go ahead and go into software and check out this beast's performance. Starting with general productivity, it feels exactly as you would anticipate from an overspec'd piece of hardware. Any and all applications are snappy to open and use. One of the best parts of this machine, which I haven't mentioned yet, is the outstanding battery life and noise output. Unlike with Intel systems, this M3 Pro machine has been whisper quiet and just keeps going. Let me show you with this demonstration where I pit them both against each other in a video playback test. Both screens are set halfway between their brightness settings and are playing a YouTube video. After about 8 hours, I check in on their battery percentages, and I was legitimately shocked. The Intel MacBook Pro, with 504 battery cycles, was at 34%, while the M3 Pro MacBook Pro was at a very nice 69%. In everyday use, I never noticed the fans spin up on the M3 Pro model of MacBook Pro, whereas the Intel one is always preparing for takeoff. That said, the fan noise on the Intel MacBook Pro is not that big of a deal most of the time. However, when I'm needing to record audio is when the difference becomes quite apparent. If you are planning on recording a lot of audio, then these series of chips are a slam dunk. General productivity aside, let's step into what this chip is designed to do, be a content-producing powerhouse. In my current production workflow, I utilize Final Cut Pro for video editing, GIMP for image manipulation, and Compressor for exporting my content to YouTube and archive. One of the best parts of Apple Silicon for my workflow is the encoding engine and how fast it is at completing projects. I'll put some general benchmarks up comparing the two machines, and it is impressive to see the gains that Apple has made with their architecture. It was a massive risk for the company to vertically integrate the way it has, but by taking this risk, we are able to see the fruits of their labor by having an incredibly efficient and powerful system. With performance and general thoughts discussed, let's wrap up with a few extra tidbits I didn't get a chance to state and give some concluding thoughts. One thing I did not mention is the 140 watt power brick and the MagSafe 3 cable. Compared to the 96 watt brick included with the 2019, it is an absolute chonk. I'm upset that their machines no longer provide the 6-foot extension cable, but I'm happy to see you can still use your existing MacBook Pro cables or MacGyver a short-term extension if you need to. As for the MagSafe cable, it is delightfully braided and feels like it's going to last a long time. Looking at the entire M3 Pro MacBook Pro package, it seems to be a home run. And for the most part, I would agree. Apple has knocked it out of the park in terms of performance and efficiency. Their laptop designs are stronger than ever, but there are a few aspects that are holding me up, one of which makes the system a tough sell for me personally as a long-term replacement at this time. While I enjoy the performance improvements of the M3 Pro chip, I'm not sure they are as much of an improvement as I personally need to justify the long-term upgrade. While content production is an important part of my daily life, all the tasks that I currently work on are adequately served by the Intel version of my machine. All that said, if you're not trying to run a crazy triple or quad monitor setup and are using an existing Intel system, or you're looking to join the Apple ecosystem, I would highly recommend picking up one of these new MacBook Pros. With all of the new features introduced in this model, such as the new dynamic caching hardware, as well as the welcome addition of an AV1 encoder, I speculate that this will be Apple's first chip that will showcase the product longevity the company has strived to do with past models. If your workload will benefit from the uplifts in performance over your previous workhorse, or if you're looking to treat yourself to a new system, I'd suggest the base model with either the 512GB or 1TB storage options. If your computing lifestyle benefits from the additional memory or compute power, then definitely check out the higher tier M3 Pro or Max versions. For the money, when you consider the entire package, there is nothing quite like it. This looks to be a nice spot to conclude the first ever Zero Thought review. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and a subscribe. I'd love to hear if you're going to be picking up one of these new laptops, so leave a comment below. Depending on when you see this content, I will be live on twitch.tv/0gaming here to take viewer suggestions on how to stress test these bad boys. So if you have a particular use case, come on by and let me know. We may be able to test your specific circumstance. At any rate, thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Zero out.